The sun had already risen high above the rooftops when Ryan Miller finally rolled out of bed, rubbing his eyes and groaning at the sound of birds chirping outside his window. It was nearly noon again. For Ryan, this was normal. At 17, his days consisted of sleeping in, playing video games, and scrolling endlessly through his phone. Downstairs, his mother, Linda, had just returned home from the early morning shift at the diner. Her apron was stained with coffee and pancake syrup, her feet sore from hours of standing. She glanced at the clock and sighed. "Ryan," she called up, "it's almost lunchtime. Are you seriously just waking up?" He groaned again, louder this time. "5 more minutes, Mom." Linda walked to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. As she took a sip, she looked at the framed photo of Ryan as a little boy, smiling wide, full of energy and curiosity. She whispered to herself, "What happened to my son?" Though she never said it aloud, Linda worried deeply. Since Ryan's father passed away 3 years ago in a construction accident, Ryan had lost his spark. He'd shut down, giving up on school, sports, and dreams. Time for him became meaningless, but life had a funny way of waking people up. The next day, as Linda prepared to leave for work again, a knock echoed at the door. Ryan, sitting on the couch and half asleep, ignored it until Linda called from the hallway, "Can you please get that?" Mumbling to himself, Ryan opened the door to find a short, elderly man wearing a vest covered in tiny tools and carrying a worn leather bag. "Morning," the old man said with a gentle smile. "Name's Harland. Your mother said you might be able to help me at my clock shop." Ryan blinked, confused. "Clock shop? What do I know about clocks?" "Nothing," Harland replied. "But you've got time, don't you?" Too stunned to argue, Ryan watched as Linda slipped a 20 into his hand and whispered, "Just go. Try something. Please." Later that day, Ryan found himself in Harland's dusty old shop downtown. The place smelled of wood polish and metal oil. Dozens of clocks ticked in harmony, creating a soothing yet eerie soundscape. Harland handed him a feather duster and a bucket. "Start by cleaning the shelves. Every tick counts." For hours, Ryan wiped, dusted, and sorted clock parts. He complained at first, dragging his feet and rolling his eyes, but Harland never scolded him. Instead, he said, "You'll understand the value of time once you've spent some earning it." Ryan didn't know what that meant, but for the first time in years, he wasn't wasting his day in bed. A week passed. Ryan continued showing up, partly out of guilt, partly out of curiosity. Harland would sometimes teach him how gears worked or let him fix small timepieces. One slow afternoon, while organizing a drawer, Ryan found a faded photograph. It showed a younger Harland, smiling beside a beautiful woman and a little girl holding a teddy bear. "Who's this?" Ryan asked. Harland paused, then quietly said, "My wife, Elinor, and our daughter, Anna." There was a long silence before he added, "They died, years ago, car accident on their way back from visiting her mother." Ryan looked at the photo again, now more solemn. I'm sorry," Harland nodded. "I was too busy fixing clocks that day. Missed their last call. I thought I had time to talk to them later." Those words hit Ryan harder than he expected. He thought about all the times his mom had wanted to talk, to connect, but he'd brushed her off. Told her he was tired, or later. Harland looked into his eyes. "You don't get time back, Ryan. People think there's always more, but sometimes there isn't." Ryan felt something shift inside him. A realization that maybe time wasn't something to kill, but something to cherish. 2 nights later, Linda didn't come home after her evening shift. At first, Ryan assumed she had stayed for overtime, but as the hours ticked by, worry crept in. When the phone finally rang, it was the hospital. "Your mother collapsed due to exhaustion and dehydration. The nurse said, she's stable now, but she'll need rest and care." Ryan's heart dropped. He rushed to the hospital and found her asleep, Roman 4s in her arm, pale but breathing steadily. The sight of her, so small, so tired, made tears fill his eyes. Sitting beside her, he whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have helped more. I should have valued your time, and mine." He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he sat there, holding her hand and thinking about the seconds he'd thrown away, the hours he'd spent on nothing, and for the first time he wanted to change. The next day, he returned to Harlan's shop early. "I want to learn," he said, standing taller than before. "Not just clean. Teach me to build. Teach me everything." Harlan smiled gently, sensing the fire that had been lit. "Then let's get to work. There's no time to waste." Months passed. Ryan transformed. He studied under Harlan every day. He learned how to repair clocks, understand mechanics, and appreciate the beauty of patience. But more importantly, he learned discipline, responsibility, and purpose. He returned to school part-time, helped his mother manage her bills, and even began fixing watches for free for the elderly around town. One afternoon, he surprised Linda by setting up a small time repair corner at the diner, where he fixed clocks while chatting with customers. It became a hit, especially with older folks who had broken watches and long stories. Harlan, proud but humble, visited often and watched his student thrive. "Told you," he chuckled, "time is a gift." One day, a little girl approached Ryan with a tiny pink wristwatch. "It doesn't work," she said, sad. "It was my grandma's." Ryan kneeled and gently took it. "Don't worry, we'll make time tick again." As he repaired the watch, he smiled, knowing how far he'd come. He no longer slept through life. He no longer said tomorrow. Now, every second mattered. The story of Ryan Miller is a powerful reminder that time is the most valuable gift we are given, and the most easily wasted. What began as the story of a lazy, aimless boy slowly transformed into the journey of a young man who discovered meaning, discipline, and compassion through the quiet wisdom of Mr. Harlan and the quiet sacrifice of his mother. Ryan realized that every second matters and that the choices we make today can shape the lives we live tomorrow. His transformation wasn't driven by pressure, but by awakening, a profound shift in how he saw himself, his family, and the world around him. This story is not just about fixing clocks, it's about repairing what truly matters: relationships, purpose, and time lost. We all have moments when we drift through life, thinking there's always tomorrow. But like Ryan, we must remember there isn't always tomorrow, but there is today, and that is enough to start again.